Hello and welcome to Promenade Française. And guess what? French is easy. Yeah, right. Hey, what's going on, Gordy Gord? Gordy Gord is a little bit too excited today, so we're gonna let him stay here for a minute. Is that good, Gordy Gord? Are you happy? Well, it's been an interesting week. So this week is going to be an exciting one. I think from the video yesterday, you can see that there's a lot of things that are going to happen this week. We need to pick up the pace a little bit. Seems like learning French is really difficult, and I don't know why some people think that French is so easy, because the more I study it, the more I find out that it is difficult. If it's difficult, then we need a facilitation trigger. We need to break it down into smaller parts. And so that's exactly what I did today. I took the exercise that we had from last week. The exercise, you can find it on the Linktree link above on my YouTube channel. If you click the link, you can find the
Blaine's First French Words Challenge.
I've added a second list called
ChatGPT, yeah, you know me.
So if you don't get that reference, probably you are very young and you don't listen to rap music. But ChatGPT kind of sounds like get down with OPP. Anyways, not to be too complicated about the naming convention, those two links go to blog articles on my website. And if you're afraid of clicking links, then probably you're not going to get too far with my Learning French series, because there are a lot of links to click. There's a Linktree link above. That's going to take you to a list of links. Then there's step 1 and step 2, very, very clearly indicated in the Linktree. If you click step 1, it's going to take you to one blog article, which is the very first words that you're going to learn in French. Once you've opened that link and you've done the exercise, then you're going to want to go to step 2. When you click the link, it's going to send you to the next blog article. The next blog article, the image you see is Marie sitting at her desk studying, which doesn't really make sense, because why would Marie be studying French? Anyways, there's also a link in that blog article, which is going to send you to a Google Drive file. Is that enough clicking for you? That's the whole thing about this YouTube channel, is that you have to click and click and click and click. And some people say, people will never click. People will never ever click. But the thing is, it's like, well, you're learning French. So if you're serious about it, then you're going to have to click at some point. If you're not serious, then you're just following some channels that have, I don't know what you call it, like some kind of dopamine burst where you're like, I'm doing something, But, I couldn't learn Russian or Chinese just by getting these short dopamine bursts. And also, I'm very quickly distracted by something else. So it's not a serious way to study. And in this next exercise, you're going to be presented with some serious, serious ways to study. The first exercise is a ChatGPT exercise. Oh my goodness! So we're going to be learning how to use Chat to help you conjugate the verb être. You put in the ChatGPT prompt, and then that's going to start up the engine. And basically what you do is it's going to give you the word like je for I, and you have to answer suis for is or am. And then it's going to say like some, and then you have to write in the word nous. And that's the whole thing, is you have to connect the personal pronoun with the conjugated verb. So that was the first exercise that I could create with ChatGPT to help you to learn how to conjugate the verb être. The next exercise, it's learning the personal pronouns for I, you, he, and she. And it's a little exercise that uses the characters from my book. Now, the thing is that you might be wondering, how could I possibly write a French book? And well, the thing is that, first of all, I'm really creative and I am writing a book. Like I'm writing about characters and these characters are interacting. And the book that I'm hoping that you're going to buy is these characters talking to each other. And it's a really exciting ride. I hope that you will come with me on the journey to learn about the characters and how they interact with each other. Then I had it translated into French, and I had French tutors checking it to make sure that it's correct. And then suddenly I realized, like, oh my goodness, like it's just a book. You know, anyone can buy a book. Anyone can find content about French characters communicating with each other. And well, you can't necessarily find the audio for all of that content, and you might not necessarily be able to find A1 content and the audio that goes along with it. But there are options. I found a bunch of options online. But I'm hoping that you choose my options. The difficult thing is, like, I started actually listening to the audio and it's really challenging. So I started creating some exercises to help me learn French, and now I'm sharing with you those exercises. And it seems like it's going to take us a little longer. Anyways, those characters in the book, we're going to learn those names, and then we're going to learn how to say, my name is Marie, and I am kind. Your name is something, and you are tall. His name is Thomas, and he is small. So we're learning how to use I, you, he, she in a very simple and interactive way. And also, you're going to learn the names of our French characters. Finally, the third exercise is insane. So I didn't realize, and it's really caused me a headache today, to find out that adjectives in French change depending on who they are describing. So we know adjectives are things like tall, small, kind, beautiful, all these things that describe the noun. But the thing is that, I told you about I am, he is, she is, you are. Those are all relatively simple. But then in French, you have this thing where you can say you. And you, it can refer to 4 different types of nouns. So the first one is formal, you, masculine. So if I'm talking to an old man and I respect him, I would say you using the personal pronoun vous. But the adjective is going to be singular and it's going to be masculine. Now switch that to an elderly lady, and now I'm saying vous, the formal way of saying you, but the adjective is feminine and singular. Now switch that again, and I say you all or you guys, and it's a group of men. And now we're using the adjective in the plural form for males. And then if I say you, a group of females, then it's still vous, but it's the feminine form of the adjective and it's plural. So I created another separate exercise so that you can practice those 12 adjectives which you learned from the first exercise, the step 1 in the Linktree link above. And I created this complex exercise because I just realized that, like, bonjour Sam, tu es très mignon. Just this very simple phrase, you are so cute. In French, the you turns out to be all these crazy personal pronouns, and the a turns out to be all the different ways you can conjugate the verb. And the mignon, it's like, it changes depending if it's masculine or feminine or plural. And so I had to revisit this idea of learning that simple sentence and then showing all the different ways that it can change in order for us to get our first steps in the French language. Welcome aboard Promenade Française.